Unpack, your pals, the professionals and animal lovers show. Also, the professionals and animal lovers society. So, all more to come on all that later on. So, we believe the bond between animal lovers is incredibly strong. And I always used to say, we don't say it so much anymore, but we used to say, we believe that bond mirrors that bond between the guardians, the pet guardians, and their pets. And we kind of just we had an episode last week with a woman who taught us about that word guardians, and instead of or in change with pet parents. Anyway, let's get to it. We believe the bond is incredibly strong, and we support each other in business, in rescue, and in advocacy, so that everyone wins.
Especially the animals.
That's Val. I'm Tommy D. The show is the Professionals and Animal Lover Show. We are back, baby. All right. Kenny Viola is here. This is one of those relationships that move kind of quick, kind of fast. I was introduced to Kenny through some folks we know. Our agency, Tommy D and the boys over at Vanguard Benefits. Kenny's with Colonial Life. We're going to get into a little bit about what his business is. But once we got to know each other, you can't, well, if you're listening to the podcast, you can't see. But if you're watching the video, you could see back behind Kenny over his left shoulder, it says OMG. That's a little Mets thing that we had going on last season in the 24 season, OMG. And we had Grimace last year. Let's go Mets, by the way. We had a lot of stuff going on last year with the Metsies. So we had that, Kenny, right away. We had that in common. Kenny brought us to a couple of us to a Met game about a week and a half ago. So Kenny, thank you for that. Thank you for the support of our luncheon, Valerie and my luncheon that we did just about 2 months ago at this point, really, here on Long Island. You said, you know what, Tommy D, happy to sponsor you guys and support what you're doing because I'm all about the animals. So, Val, before we even get, first of all, hello, Kenny. Say hello to us, and then we'll go to Valerie.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? Tommy, Valerie, thank you for having me.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you. It will be the Kenny Viola story shortly. But let's go to Val. Val, you had some updates, some things you wanted to share with our folks.
Yes. Okay. So very exciting. A couple of weeks ago on the P.A.L Society Zoom, Aaron Eton Meyer, who is an attorney, and he's a partner of a firm, but he also sits on the Animal Law Committee of New York State. And he sent me the ruling regarding, this is huge, regarding the fact that a recent ruling by a New York judge has declared that dogs can be considered immediate family in certain legal contexts. Now, this is huge because for the most part, pets have been considered property. I don't know if this applies to cats or other companion animals now that I think about it, but that said, it's a huge step in the right direction because, for example, the reason this law came about is in cases involving emotional distress stemming from witnessing harm to the animal. This decision stemmed from a case where a dog was killed by a car, acknowledges the deep emotional bond between owners and their pets, and moves away from the traditional views of pets as mere property. Big deal in the world of animal welfare.
It is a big deal. It's a huge deal. My companion animal is sleeping over there in the attic. I could say Cheeto, and he doesn't even move. It's been a rough week, gang. You know what it's like being a 22-pound dog? It's tough.
Well, it's the dog days of summer.
It is the dog days of summer. It was hot this week, Val. It was hot.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's hot where you are, but where we are, it was certainly very hot. So talk about like companion animals and stuff. You know, here's a segue. Talk about companion animals. Kenny Viola. Kenny, talk to us about. I want to hear all about what you do and your profession and things like that. But since I did that segue with that piece right there, when you came to our lunch where we had Assemblyman Ed Ross speaking about some potential legislation, things like that, you understood the assignment. You prepared to speak in front of the crowd. I said you can have like 3 or 4 minutes, and you had something to say. So why don't we do this? It's Kenny Viola from Colonial Life. Why don't you tell that story about your connection to animals and things like that?
Yeah, for sure. So, when it comes to animals, I always believe that each and every single one of these furry or scaly individuals, right, that enter our family provides us with like endless joy and companionship and more, like a lot more unforgettable moments than most, right?
Yeah.
And talking about unforgettable moments, when I had my first fur baby, and this is maybe after a full year of my wife and I being married back in 2011, my wife comes up to me and she's like, "Hey, you know what? In preparation for kids, why don't we adopt a cat?" And I've always been, you know, a cat lover, but also a dog lover too as well. But the building that we were in at the time only allowed cats. So I was just like, let's go for it.
You mean
Knew
it was a
nothing
cat
about
house?
the entire. There we
Sorry.
go.
I was gonna say, I had a joke too. You said it's a cat house. I was gonna say that's being a bit speciesist, isn't it, Val? I mean, you know,
Yeah.
what
Discriminate.
now when they said cats, see, like, did it say like little cats, or could you show up with like a puma or something like that and be like, "Hey, man, you
Oh,
said cat."
Tommy.
I'm just saying, Val. I'm just
Hey,
saying.
listen.
All right,
If I was able
back
to
to
bring
the
in a
story.
tiger or a lion, hey,
Yeah,
let's do it.
Back to the
Right?
story.
So,
Otherwise, we will keep
that-
going.
So I didn't know the entire process of adoption, and that's something that we definitely wanted, right? Because we're a big fan of you know, just taking in you know, animals that may have been forgotten or whatever it may be, and we wanted to be able to provide that animal, that pet, with a home, right? So my wife also had a specific breed that she was looking for. And that breed happened to be a Munchkin breed. Now, for those that don't know what a Munchkin breed is, think of like a dwarf cat, right? And what we were able to find was a breed that had a hybrid of your Munchkin and your domestic cat. So, more or less, the very front of our cat is a Munchkin, and the back end of our cat is domestic. So this cat has a really, you know, a really big rear end.
Is this cat?
Go
Kenny,
ahead, Tom.
is this cat still with us?
This cat is still with us.
All right. So before we go to the
Yep.
next part of the story, Kenny, I'm not one to like give it too much advice, but you say Munchkin, you said dwarf. I think the politically correct term is little cat, as in like little person.
Oh my God.
I think, Val. I don't know.
Oh
Please,
my
Kenny, back to your story.
I challenged cat.
That's right. But a lot of her front side is smushed in. Let's just put it that way, right?
Oh my God. I need a picture eventually, but go ahead.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. So, long story short, like my wife finds this specific cat, and it happens to be in Wisconsin. Now, this shelter was having a convention in Chicago, and so if anybody knows who I am, what I do, if I find something I like, I drop everything I do and I just go for it. So I said to my wife, I was just like, you know what? Let's take a flight to Chicago. Never been to Chicago before. Let's make it happen. Well, she goes, fine. We fly up to Chicago. We adopt the cat. We adopt Dee Dee, right? And we bring her to our hotel room. Now, just keep in mind that we're only in Chicago for about 2 days because our focus was adopting this wonderful furry thing at that time, right? Which is now part of our beautiful family. So we're there, not knowing what to do or how to take care of a cat because this is the very first time that we have a cat. And what I shared at the luncheon was, well, we also wanted to explore, right? We wanted to explore Chicago with the limited amount of time that we had. Mm-hmm. So first thing that we do is we put her in the bathroom because that's what the professionals told us to do, right? So that it doesn't roam the room. I felt bad for it. And I said, you know what? It's in a hotel room. Where can it go?
What could possibly go wrong?
Right? Exactly. What could possibly go wrong? Well, we leave, and when we return, we cannot find Dee Dee anywhere. Okay, and we're tearing through the hotel room, and at the time, the hotel was called Lincoln, and at the time, it was the hotel first opened. Okay, so I'm going crazy. My wife is going nuts because we're like, oh my goodness, we've been cat parents for a day and we've lost this kitten. Okay. We hear meowing.
Oh, good.
That sounds as if it's going through the walls, right? And we're like, oh my goodness, it's in the vents. Well, after tearing up this hotel room and lifting up the bed and the mattresses, we found out that what cats love to do is tear up a mattress and hide in the box spring.
Yes, they're very good hiders.
And so we find Dee Dee in the box spring. Well, that same night, after we found her, once again, me being me, felt bad that this cat was in the bathroom. So I take the litter box, I put it right next to our bed, only to be woken up at 2 or 3 in the morning with the worst smell ever. And my wife punching me on the side saying, I told you so.
Oh, gosh.
So,
oh, boy.
That was an introduction.
You didn't have a carrier or anything to confine her? Like...
We brought a carrier to confine her. Yes,
okay.
We did, because that was suggested.
But Kenny wasn't going to leave it in the carrier. Yeah, that wasn't going to happen. That sounds easy.
I love your heart.
That's right.
I totally understand. Like we're projecting what we would like, right? Oh yeah, we want free roam. We're going to put the TV on, whatever. But it is true. First of all, cats actually prefer confined spaces, but also they are phenomenal hiders. I was just telling Kenny before, Tommy, that my shy cat Phoebe, no one believes. My neighbors don't believe me. My friends don't believe me. Anyone who comes over does not believe I have a second cat, because she disappears whenever she hears another voice. And one of her favorite hiding compartments is underneath the bathroom sink. She opens up the door, goes in, and somehow shuts the door behind her.
Is it? Really? How the heck?
Yep. She's really good at hiding.
That reminds me of Jack in, Meet the Fockers. Like, the cat doesn't have an opposable.
That's right.
Like, how the heck is it doing? And first of all, there's no handle on the inside of the door either.
No, but there's like an indentation on the side, like it's a typical cabinet door, but she somehow gets her little tiny paw nails and she plops open the door. And the only way I know she's in there is I hear the door shut behind her, and I'm like, oh, she's under the thing.
That's great. That is really, really.
First of all, let me start off here. I showed you my hat before. I don't know if you could see it. Thank you for rescuing. I mean, not especially with cats, but it blows my mind whenever someone pays thousands of dollars for a cat, because literally there's this huge overpopulation crisis, especially on Long Island, and there's kittens on like every block. It's crazy. But the fact that to go to Wisconsin or Chicago to rescue a cat is quite a statement. But I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you guys are into rescue. We appreciate that so much.
I'm glad, Val, to be honest with you, that after his performance in the Lincoln Hotel in Chicago, that he has children. Like, and this is the same woman where you perform this way in Chicago that let you have children. Or whatever. Very, very, very.
I would have been paranoid that housekeeping came in while we were out, and somehow the kitten was like running loose. But thank God you heard the meowing, because oh my gosh, what a scary. Yeah.
I mean, listen. Anybody who ever like has experienced like, and I know, Val, you've recently had this with I think it was your cat when you made a move recently.
Guillermo.
Yeah, Guillermo. I think like the scariest thing like is to like lose a child, like and then like one time, one of my daughters, I was at the Costco, and she was like a wanderer, like her dad. We just wander and do things, but it's okay when you're 47. It's not okay when you're 3, and she would just kind of go. And like at Costco, like caught her like at the door. If you know Costco, gang, it's like a garage.
Oh my
gosh.
Like
at the garage door. Like, so that's the scariest thing. So, Kenny, like, I mean, it is a funny story because you find the cat. And Valerie knew the end of that story. The day at the restaurant, Valerie did not know. No one knew the end of the story except you, to be honest with you. So we didn't know where that story was going to go. Now we knew. there was a happy ending, that there was a cat there. There's a good chance that that story ends differently, and we would not have let you tell that story. Honestly, not a second time after we let you tell it in front of a room the first time. But
Well, you learn as you go, and just like children, they don't come with instruction
no,
manuals, right?
Right.
You figure it out, and you grow with experience.
Yeah.
100%.
And so I also wanted to just take a moment because you and I haven't had like a call one-on-one time or anything, but I really so appreciate your support with that luncheon that we did and the sincerity that comes across when you're talking about your passion for animals, and wanting to be a part of this community to help change laws and make the world a better place for them. So what we love to do here, Tommy and I, and we've known each other a long time, and we have this in common, is we love to learn about people, we love to learn about their business, and we love to help connect them so that we are supporting each other. So let's dive into that a little bit. Tell us about, your position, your the what you offer through Colonial Life, and also who we can connect you with that can create some more, symbiotic relationships.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So at Colonial Life, the role that I currently have is an associate territory manager. First, I want to say that I've been in this industry for just over 19 years now. I started back in 2006. Tommy, since you shared your age, I'm going to share mine. I'm 42, right?
Wow.
Been in this industry for a pretty long time.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why I've stayed in the voluntary benefit space, and that's what Colonial Life primarily focuses on, is because of the people that we're able to help in the event that somebody gets sick or hurt, right? Here at Colonial Life, we pride ourselves on three main things. One, it's benefits, communication, and education, because we want every single employee to understand the type of benefits that they have. Two, it is the overall experience, okay, of someone's open enrollment. And that open enrollment could be through enrollment technology platforms, right? Or it could be through the entire process to making sure that it is streamlined so that everybody understands when their open enrollment starts and also when it ends. And the third piece is the voluntary benefits piece, right? It's the fact that we understand in the event that somebody gets sick or hurt, there are out-of-pocket expenses that people have to pay for, especially now where people live from paycheck to paycheck. And every single one of our policies, our plans, are meant to pay cash benefits directly to these individuals and their families so that they're not a part of those nightmare stories that they hear about in the news or in the media saying that they have large loans now because of medical bills.
Yeah, that's the number.
When it comes to,
Sorry to interrupt you really quick. We had a bankruptcy lawyer on this podcast a couple of years ago, and that is the number one reason that people have to declare bankruptcy. Unexpected.
As a matter of fact, you're right. And I believe it was about 2016 or 2017 or so, where I remember this study that said, and it was from Harvard Business, that said that 77% of bankruptcies that occur in the U.S. are actually due to medical bills.
Wow.
And about 60% of those events are individuals or families that have some form of health insurance. And it's still pretty much true today.
Oof.
Kenny,
Yeah.
let's stay there 1 second too, because you say they have health insurance. So they have health insurance. However, there's still a gap, and that's a lot of where your products come in. If you could speak to that, just to how you overcome that gap.
Yeah, for sure. So that gap, once again, is in those financial responsibilities of co-payments and deductibles and co-insurance that these individuals and these families have to pay for, right?
Mm.
As we know, Tommy, you're in this industry of insurance, and as we know that, most deductibles nowadays could be anywhere between $2,500 to $10,000, depending on a family's status. Mm-hmm. And if an individual or that family is living from paycheck to paycheck, that unforeseen hit could change a person's entire world.
Yeah.
So these policies, once again, are going to pay that individual a certain dollar amount, a set dollar amount through each and every single one of our policies that they end up enrolling in so that they could use that money towards whatever's most important to them at that time. And that time could be, paying for additional medical services, right? Paying for these unexpected bills of health insurance, or that money could then be used to help pay for someone's rent, mortgage, or car payment or things like that because somebody was on disability. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether or not somebody is recovering for 1 day or 90 days. At the end of every single month, the rent is due, right? So that's where our company comes into play.
So I have a couple of questions. So let's talk about your target market. Is there a minimum amount of employees? Do you cover self-employed people? That's one of the most common questions that I know is out there. But minimum amount of employees, if any, do they have to be full-time? Like, what's your criteria?
Yeah, so as long as the company has at least 3 employees or more, it doesn't matter if it's 10, 20, 100, or 1,000 or thousands. Voluntary benefits, our policies are able to fit in. And even if one person enrolls, we're still able to provide them with the policies that they enrolled in.
And 3 or more full-time?
3 or more as long as they're benefits eligible. Whatever that means to that company is completely up to them.
Okay, interesting. I felt badly. One of my employees actually last night rather, I shouldn't even call her. I hate the word employee. No offense, guys. I know you're in the employee benefits section, but I would like to call it the teammate section because that's really what they are. But anyway, we're friendly. And, she got hurt last night. And it was complex, but long story short, she asked me if we could take her to urgent care. And I said, of course, but then she ended up not needing that ride. Turns out where we are, unfortunately, urgent care closes at 8 o'clock, which is foreign to me because I'm from New York. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So I said, well, are you going to go to the emergency room? Do you need a ride? And she said, no, I'm really going to try to gut it out until tomorrow to go to urgent care because she doesn't have insurance. And I was like, oh my God. Like I felt so badly. She might need stitches, whatever. And it's a really, really brutal situation, when you're facing these unexpected, never small bills.
Oh yeah, definitely. We hear stories all the time, that same exact story on where somebody gets hurt. And I would have to say the number one reason why people go to the emergency room or to an urgent care center is because of accidents. We don't plan to ever get hurt.
Yeah.
Happens each and every single day.
Right. Okay, I'm curious. All right, well, I get too far ahead of myself sometimes, but long story short, I would like to hear about the pet insurance. However, I don't want to forget my question. You don't have to answer this now. But what I'm curious about is, here's my fuzzy thought. I have done within my store, I own a holistic pet food store. We try to do educational events as well as the fun ones, but I've had once a year, I do an estate planning talk. We bring in an estate lawyer and he talks about including your pets in your estate planning. So that like pet trust, etc. So my question is, are you interested in connecting with people, in that comparable space near you? And maybe you guys could do a joint talk together. Maybe you guys could do a joint talk on PALs. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Okay. What was the question? Tell us about your pet insurance.
Wow. Whoa.
Yeah.
Pause. Time out. I thought I was the one who had the beautiful brain. Val, hold on a second. Let's go back. Kenny, would you like to connect with the people Valerie just offered you introductions to?
Would love to.
Okay, perfect. Kenny, can you do business outside of New York in other parts of the United States?
Yes.
Oh, that's such a good question. That's not my question. That was a good question.
It wasn't, but it's a secondary question because you are not on Long Island, and Kenny and I are currently on Long Island right this second. But you can do business around the country, correct?
Oh, for sure. Yep. Colonial Life is one of the largest voluntary benefits providers in the entire country.
Awesome.
So that's something. So maybe there's something where, whether it be
Yeah.
you taking a road trip down to see Val in her store, or promoting some educational stuff through her clients and customers at the store, and or having a colleague of yours maybe who's in that market where she's at doing some of that stuff. That might be good, right? Good.
Love it.
And how am I the one that's focused? And you, and then the other part is, what really sparked a lot of, not you coming on the show, but it was part of, we were in a meeting, a P.A.L's meeting last week, and we knew you were coming on the show, and you brought up this next topic that Valerie just referenced. So Val, drum roll,
Yes.
please. Pet insurance.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. So, pet insurance is a brand new concept for Colonial Life, and it is something that I believe is extremely important for each and every single one of our animal family members. Right. As a matter of fact, if I could drop some statistics here real quick, Tommy.
Yeah, please.
You know, just the like are us as humans, right? When it comes to going to the doctor, how doctor costs are increasing, it is the same exact thing when our animals go to vets, right? So vet costs increasing, demands for pet insurance continues to grow. And as we all know, the younger generations are also looking for more benefits. So part of voluntary benefits is not just everything that I just mentioned earlier, but it's also other value-added services that we're able to provide to employers. And pet insurance has been consistently on the top when it comes to the request of pet insurance, right? When it comes to taking care of our animals.
Younger
87
generation
million
is also, oh, I'm so sorry. I just wanted to say the younger generation is also, they're having less kids and adding more pets.
Yeah. 70%, I'm stealing this from Kenny's notes that he sent over to me. 70% of millennials own at least one pet. 70%. That's a lot. And us millennials, Val, us millennials like me, we're all about pets. All
What am
right.
I? What am
Never,
I? I literally forgot what I am.
no, we're Gen
I
X.
am.
You and I are Gen X.
Oh, thank you. That's right.
We're
I'm
Gen
like,
X.
I know I'm not a boomer, so
I'm
let's
just
just
trying to
keep
entertain our
that.
audience, and they're going, Tommy D, with that white goatee, you are not a millennial, you old man. I was trying to do that. So, so Kenny, jump into some of the other, because this is a huge opportunity in the marketplace
Yeah.
for, there's the total addressable market. Is something I like to talk about from a sales perspective, is tremendous as it relates to people with pets.
Yeah. Yeah. 87 million US households have a pet, right? So they're very much a part of our every single day. So that's why we have to take care of them, and when it comes to buying pet insurance, it's part of having that smart financial and emotional decision, right? Just like we do with ourselves and our kids. So, when you're looking into pet insurance, there's a couple things that you have to look into. One, understand that it's about, paying for those unexpected vet bills that are extremely expensive. It's once again also having peace of mind, right? The coverage of the fact that it's going to help cover accidents and illnesses. And if you think about it, it's almost the same exact concept, right? That we do when it comes to the enrollment piece for ourselves and also our families.
Yeah.
Another thing is, just like when it comes to the life insurance side of things, earlier the enrollment, meaning the younger we cover our pets, the better the coverage. Because the healthier they are, the lower the cost, the fewer exclusions for pre-existing conditions.
That is true.
Something I want to point out, Val. I mean, some people might know this, but I'm one of the partners of Vanguard Benefits, which is an employee benefits or a team member benefits. New term there. Team member benefits. In the employee benefit space, we're constantly talking to employers, and Kenny knows this with his own groups, but then with us collaborating about attracting, retaining talent. And there's two things that are like the most prevalent that people are talking about. What are my mental health services? What is my coverage for mental health when I want to go see a mental health provider? Certainly, that is critically important. I don't want to get on a tangent, but that's a very important topic to me. And then the other thing is, what about pet insurance? Like, this is very mindful, or very top of mind to
Mhm.
employees in organizations. So I just wanted to point that out because I live and breathe that every day. That's who we meet with, is employers and their employees, or team members. And that's something that's constantly coming up. Sorry, Ken, take it away,
Yeah.
Ken.
No. Let me add to that. I will make a confession right here and now. Um, so as a pet parent, I can tell you that we did talk about this, and we never really dug into the details. We never did like apples to apples comparisons with different pet insurance carriers and all of that. However, you know, we probably made a mistake there because here's the thing. Like, you're going to go to the vet for certain things, right? You're going to go, especially when you first get them, you're going to get them checked out, you're going to get their vaccines, whatever. Um, and that's the expected stuff. But I really don't know a single pet parent, including myself, who has the unexpected stuff happen. So I remember when my dog was still a puppy and I was on the phone, I could tell you who exactly I was on the phone with because I was like, oh my God, there's something wrong. And he started limping. And I went full blown panic mode, hysterical crying in the car, brought him to the vet 5 minutes away. By the time I got him in the lobby, he was fine. So
Mhm.
that doesn't count. But then the first year that the between 1 and 2 years old, my dog had a litany of issues that started with the hot spots that went to GI issues, then became ear infections. It was a mess. And we went to 4 or 5 different vets in 1 year. And then we finally went to the right vet who told us that he was having a problem. His problems all stem from food. That's another story. But what I'm saying is that I don't know a single pet parent who you don't expect the UTIs. You don't expect, God forbid, things like seizures. You don't expect, the ticks or whatever, and you have to get them seen because whatever. Those are all the things that do happen, and they happen a lot.
It's a
So
living, it's a living being. Things
yeah,
happen, right?
yeah.
It's like we don't, the environmental stuff, like you
Yeah.
said. I mean,
So
this guy,
going forward, I definitely want pet insurance,
you
and
got,
that was one thing. Yeah,
yeah, I worked it out with Kenny. Yeah, talk to him after and talk about that for your team.
I
But
will.
the guy who's asleep over there, who's like curled up, his name is Cheeto. When I told you it didn't end up it didn't get too far, but we have a lacrosse net in my backyard, and he was stalking a um a squirrel,
Squirrel.
a little baby squirrel, and he was like this, like if you're listening, just if you can't see, you're
Army crawl, army
yeah,
crawl.
army crawl,
Yeah.
like close your eyes and imagine a little Cheeto dog going down the grass. Long story, he was not going to get the squirrel, but the squirrel ran into the lacrosse net and got stuck for like a moment, and it was that moment where Cheeto was able to pounce and got the squirrel, and we're like, oh my god! So we're like screaming, trying to grab our phones at the same time, but we were like screaming, stop, Cheeto, Cheeto. Finally, we shook him up enough so the squirrel could get away and was up in this tree I have, and then then Cheeto went from like a tiger to pounce to a shark, and he was like just circling the tree, waiting. Go ahead, sucker, fall off that tree. You're mine. And we finally brought Cheeto in the house. But like that's the stuff that happens. This is nature. This is the same dog that went in a hole and took out baby mice and ate one of them. Like this is the same dog. So
They're carnivores.
yeah, so stuff's gonna happen, right?
That's
That's
right.
really raw. You talk about raw food. That's super raw. A baby
That's
mouse. I mean, that's
yeah, no, but to your point, look,
happens, right? This is real
I
stuff.
hindsight being
Yeah.
2020, I'll say that we should have had pet insurance, and there's a couple of other things. My dog just had surgery on Monday, and one of my teammates also asked us, like, do you have pet insurance? And I was like, nope. And it
I have.
sucks. It sucks,
How funny is that for us, for you
Yeah.
and me, right? You more so because you got a lot of pets. But how funny is that? Like that we don't have pet insurance, and this is the stuff we
Yeah,
talk.
no, I never really calculate. And the other thing too that I want to say is that you start off with one pet, like we started off with our dog, and then you kind of start adding.
Yeah, that's the
It
difference between
happens
you and me. That's the difference.
Yeah.
I started out with one
so
child, and now I have
so
four
far,
children. No, no, no. No.
so far.
He's my one and only Cheeto. Only.
All I know is that it's not uncommon for people to have more than one pet, and we're not recalculating as we go. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, so
Right.
um,
Yeah.
Kenny, you want to talk at all, or just Val and I have a show without you?
You guys are having a really great time. First, what I was thinking of first when you were talking about pouncing is that my mind went off to the Lion King on where, if you recall this one part of the Lion King, on where Zazu the bird, right, is trying to teach Simba how to pounce. That's where my mind went to. Kind of shows you where
yeah.
how old my kids are,
Yeah, no
right? I
kidding.
have an 11-year-old and a 6-year-old daughter. And
Uh,
then, after that, I just was just like, you know what? They're having a great old time. Let me let them keep on going, see where this goes.
To do the show without a guest is probably what we should try one time. I always said if we recorded some of our phone conversations, they'd make great episodes of this show too. Without if we just
yeah.
put out the profanity line. But so
So,
Kenny, how? Let's talk a bit about like I don't want to go too deep into the product set because I think it's probably going to be something that you'd want to roll out on a group level as you're in conversations with these employer groups and stuff. But what can you tell us on a little bit of the mechanics of these programs?
Yeah, what I could start to share is because, Val, you were talking about how you just never really thought about like the cost, right, of how much it is to bring our pets to the doctor. And, just think about it this way. When it comes to just annual averages nationally, right, annual examinations and shots can cost anywhere between 300 to 500 bucks without insurance. Those ear infections that you were talking about could be anywhere between like 150 to 300 bucks. And then forget it when it comes to like the surgery piece, right?
uh,
Torn ACLs is anywhere from 3 to 6,000, and then foreign body surgery, that could be from like 2 to 4. So things will add up because, as to Tommy's point, like these are living beings, right? And they're very much a part of our family. So then if you take that and then you take the average monthly premiums, the cost of these policies, where you're looking, anywhere between $60 to $85, give or take, in a monthly basis. Now you're looking at maybe 900 bucks a year, give or take. You now have peace of mind knowing that your hard worked money for you and your family, which includes your pets, right, could stay within the house because you're not coming fully out of pocket. Okay?
right.
Comes to from let's Tommy, what you said is that we're looking. This is something that our company is looking to launch in third quarter. As crazy as it sounds, third quarter basically means the month of July.
Yep.
Right. Which is next week.
Wow.
It's so nuts on how quickly time flies. But what I can share is this: when it comes to this coverage, is that it is customizable. So annual deductible options could be in $100, $250 to $500. So it is customizable. So depending on what your deductible option is and you choose is going to depend on the cost of the plan, right? There is reimbursement levels of anywhere from 50 to 80%. And then it also covers certain annual maximums with accidents, illnesses, okay, and also hereditary coverages on where it could cover anywhere between $2,500 or $5,000. Once again, giving that animal parent, right, that pet parent, peace of mind when it comes to coverage. But most importantly, it's all about the wellness side of things, because just like us, on where we have to do those annual checkups, right, and we want to make sure that we, for ourselves, catch anything early. It's the same exact thing when it comes to our pets.
Yeah.
Okay, we want to make sure that they're well taken care of, and so our pet insurance is going to help with the vaccinations. It's going to help with those wellness coverages for our pets.
All right. I need to say something. It's not very uplifting, but this is the harsh reality that exists sometimes. And it's been more prevalent since COVID, right? So sometimes something unforeseeable will happen to someone's pets, and they cannot afford to take them to the vet. So what happens, usually one of two things happens. Either they raise the money somehow, friends, family, whatever, GoFundMe, whatever it is, or they end up having to surrender their pets, which is so god awful. And I don't want anyone out there to be judgmental about, I would never give up my pet. I say that all the time too, but you know what? If it meant that I can't feed him anymore, or I can't,
It's
or
a terrible
or he's
situation.
hurt and he needs
It's tough.
or he has cancer, or he needs surgery, I
Yeah,
will do what's best for my animals.
yeah,
So I guess all I'm saying is don't be like me and get pet insurance.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, so Val, look, that's just a terrible predicament for somebody to be in for sure, you
Yeah,
know?
but it does happen.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I don't mean terrible for their behavior. I mean terrible that like now that's my decision. I have
Yeah.
to make this decision. So certainly, for some of those premium costs that Kenny's talking about, it's really not if you go from a return on investment for your premium versus the potential reimbursement that you're going to get on these
Yeah.
services. And I'm
Your
looking at
expense.
yeah, it's a great investment. And Kenny, I want to ask you, and I'm looking at some documents Kenny sent over to me. And again, being that I own an employee benefits agency and this is my work, what I do, some of this stuff resonates more with me. Most folks are going to be like, all right, great. How do I get this? Because it's really good for my pets and my family. What I want to say, Kenny, is being a member of the Professionals and Animal Lovers Society as you are, and being a partner in what we're doing, I see great opportunities for you to educate folks on these products. And Valerie asked you before, is this product also, if you have 3 employees, they could, an employer group or a company could put this in, or do they need more employees?
So as of right now, you do need more. As of right now, the way that it's structured is for 50 or more employees.
Oh, it is. Okay. So it's for the
Um,
partner groups.
right.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. All right. Well, that's still okay because we know plenty of companies that are large groups. And then on your other products, it's 3 or more employees. So you want to meet with employer groups and companies that have, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20, up to hundreds of employees, right? Those are the kind of companies. And what do you find is really the being that I sell employee benefits, health insurance is always the big one. It's always the big number, right? It's the most expensive. It's what everybody's most familiar with. What do you find, in addition to pet insurance, that are kind of the key differentiators that you see employers implementing that employees are very grateful for?
Yeah. Other than pet insurance, what is also coming out there is security, right? So what I mean by that is your like your life locks, okay, and your identity theft type of plans that that companies are looking to bring on now more than ever because of companies, regardless of whether or not they are small or large or Fortune 500 companies, now getting hacked,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Which then which then gives these hackers, all the personal information that we have. So that's pretty big too as well. For the most part, what a lot of companies tend to do is that they just tend to look for ways how to making sure that their employees understand that they care about them, right? And it's their health and well-being.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of what we offer here at Colonial Life. It is your accident plans, it's your critical illness plans, it's your disability policies. But also at the same exact time, if we're able to provide that type of service for our pets too as well, that's huge. On the back end of the back office stuff, because our partners are with your HR teams or your business owners that are just handling everything by themselves. I mentioned earlier enrollment technology platforms, right? Colonial Life is one of the only, or maybe the only, insurance carrier that actually has their own proprietary enrollment platform. So these HR teams are able to use this platform for onboarding, for enrolling, the guidance of our sales distribution.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I just saw something. I'm going to put you in touch with one of my customers. She's wonderful. I love her. She loves me too. But anyway, I digress. She is an HR I forgot her exact title, whatever, but she's I'll find out and tell you later because I forgot. All I know is she has like 80 employees. But
Yeah, it's
the
great.
other
Perfect.
is real life example. I don't mind sharing. So my dog Jovi has been battling a cataract for years and years and years. We've taken him to several specialists, and this is why I want to mention this because when you have to go to any kind of specialist, it's that much more expensive. So he has seen a specialist ophthalmologist in New York at Lives. I don't know if you know Lives, Long Island vet specialist. He's seen a specialist down in Florida. And most recently, we took him to an ophthalmologist in Charlotte, North Carolina, which led to his surgery this past Monday. Okay. So just recently, last week's vet in Charlotte, 2 weeks ago, the vet bill was about $750. And then this week's surgery with medication, which we're very grateful for because everything went well, but it was about $1,200. And then, of course, there's the follow up visit. So we're going to be probably around $2,500 in the past like 3 weeks, all in. And, look, thankfully we have it, thankfully we're okay, but it still hurts. Like, it's
Well,
not, you know.
yeah, I'm looking at the specs on like Kenny's plan, and not to go too deep into each of the things you said, Val, but the reimbursement level for that could be 80% of what you
Yeah,
spent.
I would have taken it. We would have taken it, no
Yep.
doubt. So
Yeah,
let's just all learn. That's what we're here for. We
that's
want
what
to
it
we
is.
want to learn from people. And go ahead, Tommy.
Well, we learn, we educate, and Valerie, what else do we do?
We
Right,
advocate.
that's right, that's right. But that's what it is. Like, you know what? A mistake is like if you learn something and you didn't do anything about it, right? That's the mistake. Not knowing something is not a mistake. So now we realize these things, and I got to get sorted out with some pet insurance because that guy over there is going to be expensive if he gets hurt or anything like that. And he tries to go after squirrels and what he does in my yard. But that's it, Kenny. Listen, I know how to get in touch with you. How should folks want to get in touch with you? Certainly, if business professionals and advocates become members of the Professionals and Animal Lovers Society, they will have access to our friend Kenny Viola. Wink, wink, everybody, if you know what you're
That's
talking
right.
about. I'll tell you what I'm talking about in a second. But Kenny, how do you want people to reach out to you and connect with you? What's the best course of action for that?
Yeah, so best course of action is definitely link up with me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I definitely answer a ton of folks through the DMs over there. I am going to drop my email address on this
Do it.
podcast here. Okay. Some people say that's dangerous because we never know who's listening,
It's
but
not dangerous. Don't
it's all
put your
about.
phone number. Just your email address, not your direct personal.
Okay.
Right.
There you go. It's kviola at coloniallife.com. So it's KVIOLA at coloniallife.com.
Love
Makes
that.
sense.
Love that. And
I have one last PSA if I can really quickly, Tommy D. 4th of July is coming up around the corner. Please do everything you possibly can to keep your pets safe. Make sure they're microchipped. We love the Cineroid tag. It's called Smart GPT tag. Smart GPC tag. $20. You can find one at the Canine Shop in East Northport.
yeah.
And also walk them in the morning. Get their energy out. Give them one last walk before it gets dark. Blast your TV, put some classical music on, whatever. Close your curtains if you have that anxiety pet. I have one of them, and just don't let them outside.
Yeah. I'll tell you something, man. I was concerned about my guy Cheeto, and I always forget which is which. Which is Memorial Day, which is Labor Day. Memorial's first, right? Memorial happened
Yeah.
already. So Memorial Day back last month,
Yeah.
I Googled it. That's how I figured it out. But Memorial Day was I was like, they start with the fireworks then, Val. It's like
Yeah.
any excuse some folks to. So I grab them and I'm like, dude, let's just go chill out in the house. Wasn't even affected. It
Oh,
doesn't.
good for you. Good for
He's
you.
that
Yeah.
kind of, again, because you always tell me about people's pets and stuff. This
Yeah.
dude was like, I'm telling you, if you can see him now, he's just like passed out. That's how he is with the fireworks too, which is great. He's chill.
You're
He's
lucky.
just like
You're
me.
lucky.
Valerie,
Yeah.
he's just like me. Very
Yeah.
chill, very mellow,
Very
Not high flown,
Namaste.
very namaste. Namaste. Namaste in the attic. Namaste. All right. Listen, Kenny Viola, we appreciate your friendship. We appreciate the support. Like I said, we don't even know each other for that long, but we become friends. You're certainly supportive of what Val and I are doing here, and we appreciate all that stuff. You have anything else?
Podcast. Great podcast, Kenny.
Great show. Val, what do you
Thank
want
you
to
so much.
leave?
Me, I'm good.
You good? Kenny, anything else?
I want to thank the both of you for having me on here.
Thank you. The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. Take care of your animals. Take care of your people. Make it a great day. Bye. Thanks.
Amen. Woohoo!